God damn.
That's good.
That's a
good fucking really
answer.
Profound, high wisdom.
Yeah, no, I'm sitting here like, oh, that's good.
Yeah, no. Several of your answers to these questions have been solidly good and are great for discussion. And I really hope
Excuse me.
people take it up and go over and discuss all of that.
What he's trying to do is learn. So all he's really doing is asking questions, and I think it's almost frustrating to him that you don't have answers. Got caught in my throat.
No, you're quite.
Yes, please. I was gonna say, please don't die.
Yeah. Okay.
YouTuber killed by amateur podcaster. Oh no.
Killed by water.
We did that, yes. And I'm Steven.
And we are joined today by...
the Rune Smith, a.k.a. Logan, or vice versa.
Well, we want to thank you so much, Logan, for coming in today and doing some questions with us. It has been an absolute pleasure. If you are listening to this, I hope that you have listened to the interview and got a full dose of Ashes, because Ashes was a phenomenal character. Oh my goodness, so insightful onto a lot of the different things.
A very, very profound Warforged that doesn't really have any answers, so he just keeps asking questions.
Yeah.
But I think the asking questions made us all ask questions of ourselves, and that's a hell of a thing to do.
Fun characters to play.
Exactly. So how did you get started in Dungeons and Dragons? Or tabletop RPGs in general? It
was back in like high school days, I guess something like 4 years ago. I couldn't really pinpoint it, but it was one of our friends from, I think, a church group had parents who played the older editions. So I think it was back with 3.5, and we played a game with just the three of us where he DM'd kind of like a bit of an ad-libbed game where we just ran around trying to hunt vampires in a forest and testing what you can do in Dungeons and Dragons. Like if you set a tree on fire, does the whole forest light up? Just a bunch of silly first time stuff. It was really fun.
I feel like everybody has at least one session or campaign that's like that, where the characters don't actually matter. There's no plot. It's just people going around hitting things.
I wrote on the back of a chimera. I understand. Yeah.
It's super fun to just kind of test the boundaries of Dungeons and Dragons and the boundaries of the people that you're playing with.
Exactly.
To figure out what the game actually means.
So Ashes is from the Eberron game, I'm assuming, that you played, that you spoke of during your basically this is Eberron video. Is that correct?
I actually rewrote, and this is more or less a newer character. The other one shares a similar background, but was a lot more, I think, stupid. He was kind of like the Iron Giant in that game.
Okay.
I think his name was 12.
It's a good name.
Yeah, that's
it's
a
good
name.
It's a good Warforged name.
We've run into our fair share of stupid Warforged. The Lowent Warforged.
They're very fun to play.
They are indeed.
Stupid brutes who just someone snaps their fingers and you get to break somebody's legs is always a very easy, fun character to play.
Yes.
They do make for exciting characters.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to tell us a little bit about 12 and the adventure he went on?
Yeah. I think it was actually one of the pre-written adventures, or maybe something from DM's Guild that our Dungeon Master played with. But it was I think the Hyper Rails, what are those called?
Lightning Rails. Yeah.
Yeah, the Lightning Rails. we were dealing with those, and there was a unique airship where it could like jump through time, or it could do like massive teleportation.
Oh my
And
goodness.
it was some kind of like really dangerous technology that was developed by a gnome. So we had to like either steal it or destroy it or get rid of it in a very unique way and not get tracked or caught by the house that wanted it. I think it was the House of Shadows or another one of the power mongerers. But 12, his little origin was that he was made very near the end of the war and was immediately repurposed to defend a noble's daughter. And just bad luck, bad timing, and the fact that 12 had no experience or no awareness of a plot to take care of her. It was like the first week that he lost his job and was just kind of cast into an alleyway. So he really didn't know where to go or what he was. And then he got a little, I think he just saw a help wanted ad for people with combat skills. So he just waited outside the door for like 4 days until the rest of the party showed up. And then he just was kind of he was a fighter or a paladin, one or the other. It's bad not to remember, but he had a lot of unique abilities that he could just like take on any specific figure and just tear them down with a bunch of like motion tracking sensors and a huge warhammer. It was a lot of fun.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I think that for a lot of us, not Warforged. My goodness. For a lot of us, the paladin or the fighter, barbarian, sometimes they can all blend together. I've got a few characters where I have trouble remembering specifically what class they were as well. Now, I did notice the name 12. Now, if you are familiar with Eberron lore, that is a huge number to come up a bunch. It's always the 12 plus 1 rule for Keith Baker's 13 with the 13 Dragonmark houses.
Yeah, because the Baker's dozen.
The 13 moon. What was that? Did that factor into why you named him 12, or was it just...
No, I hadn't done as much research at that point. So I think I just got really lucky.
Yeah.
Ironically.
Super lucky. I like
perfect. I think that's a wonderful name for a Warforged, and
you know,
it might be an auspicious start. Maybe there's more to come for 12.
Yeah, it'd be fun if we ever scheduled that again.
So tell us about your YouTube career, because you've got like 700,000 subscribers. 70,000, 700.
No, it's 270.
You got the 70 right.
I got the 70 right. I'm proud on that.
I wish I was at 700.
Why did I think 700? Maybe I was looking at somebody else.
I think Joe Cat's around there.
I know Joe Cat's around there, but still.
We actually met him last year. It was a good time.
Well, we met you last year too.
I did not get to meet him. I did not get to meet Rune Smith last year. I was so upset.
It was after the Joe Cat, the animating D&D.
Oh yeah.
And then there was like that big line, and our roommate is actually like a huge fan of yours. And he saw you off to the side, and he's like, oh, is that Rune Smith? Is that
standing there with Jacob?
Oh my gosh, is that them? And then he pulls me aside, and he's like, give me the stuffed bear right now, Rebecca.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
We had the stuffed bear. I don't know if you remember the stuffed bear.
I do. I think I put him on my shoulder.
Yes, I still have the pictures, and I was planning on like low-key posting them and being like, hey, what's up? These never actually made it to Twitter.
Oh, yeah, I was wondering.
We have so many from PAX last year. I think it's because last year after PAX we came home and there was just so much stuff going on, and then we forgot all about it until and then
the pandemic hit.
Yeah, and so it's just been one of those things that we ended up unfortunately putting off to the side.
Yeah, that was actually my first convention, just in general. So it's interesting to have your first convention be the one that you're kind of recognized at as a unique experience.
I can imagine. That's scary.
Goodness. Yeah, no.
I've been to, that was my third PAX, because I'd gone to all 3 of the PAX Unplugged at that point.
Oh, cool.
Because I'm a huge nerd and we only live like 6 hours away. I mean, for you, that's a plane flight. So.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy the PAX? Did you have a good time?
I had a lot of fun. I was looking forward to it this year, but things don't turn out the way that you expect.
And
I think
true.
This year taught that lesson to everybody.
You know what? There will be next year, and hopefully we'll be able to meet you then, and get I'll have to get your autograph in my monsters manual.
Yeah, cool.
So, uh, with your YouTube, I have learned quite a bit that I have started working into different campaigns. I'm
Hmm.
currently running an Eberron game that is a bunch of white hat. What was it? White hat criminals that they break into different areas to show the weakness of different buildings. Like, oh, this is structurally unsound here, and you need to reinforce here, and you need wards here. So they go through and steal things that way in order to get attention from the houses and get paid.
That's
And
really cool.
so well, I've really enjoyed taking the notes that you had on running a heist and then using that in that game. And I truly appreciate that, the insight you had on having your players' abilities factor in regardless of what was going on in the dungeon. I think it's just absolutely a beautiful insight on that, and really made me reevaluate how I was writing them.
Well, thank you. I'm glad that that video was effective in what I wanted it to be. It's
It,
cool
it
that
really, really was. I absolutely love all your videos.
thank you.
I think that there is a lot there for people who are just starting out, or I mean, I've run D&D for a very long time, but I run it by the book, and so seeing these different takes on things is really nice and refreshing for me, and gives me ways that I would not normally think of running it, and it's truly wonderful.
Yeah, I think it really is interesting to just make videos kind of from a perspective of someone who's only been at a few different tables with a few different groups, and kind of broadcasting that perspective or the insight that I get from playing a very kind of streamlined type of game, and seeing other people who have just always played the game completely differently than we have.
So we haven't actually touched on the question that was originally asked, because we've gone on like 2 tangents
Two
already.
tangents. I'm so sorry.
Uh,
I'm bad about tangents. That's why we write it down, so that you can keep track of me.
so
Yeah,
back to the
what
original
exactly?
question.
Yeah, if you could reword the question.
How did you what started you on doing YouTube videos? Why did you decide to start putting stuff out on YouTube? What was the inspiration, etc.?
It's, I'd say, a pretty unique story. As a decent amount of people know, at least the people who were kind of keeping track of us early on, I wasn't very interested in YouTube. It kind of wasn't the thing that I thought was ever going to be an option, because obviously it takes a lot of luck and a lot of skill, um, namely luck, and that's something that can easily become unfamiliar to people. But I started out working with XP Level 3. I was just kind of a side guy on his channel, and I had a few less comedic ideas. I wanted to present them, the ideas that I present now, in a less comedic way. And then kind of his sudden surge of success made me realize that you can present any of your own ideas and then add some jokes to them, and that's what draws people in. Is I think a key word that a couple people like to use that I really like is edutainment. It's just educational, but people enjoy it. Um, so after a while, it was like right at the 100,000 subscriber mark that I wanted to try and sustain myself on just writing and creating things for other people and helping other people out. So I decided to kind of jump ship from Jacob's channel and try out my luck. And apparently I rolled really high.
Well, I would say definitely so. It has been amazing to see the success that you have there. There are so many different YouTubers who do things based on D&D, and it is amazing to me that there is this upswelling from all of the community to try and help support as many of them as possible. And it is a lovely group of people, and I'm
It
so glad
really
that we get
is.
to be a part of that.
It's definitely a blessing to be in the D&D community these days. It's a lot of storytellers, and the more stories that you tell or that you experience, the kind of the wiser you get. So I think you can walk away from a bunch of D&D sessions with a lot of life lessons. So the people are very respectful, very understanding, very diverse. It's just a fantastic group.
I agree.
I was gonna say a lot of actual life lessons I've learned. I've learned from D&D,
from D&D.
conflict resolution with groups,
Yeah.
with basic leadership skills. There's been a lot.
It's all just simulations.
Absolutely.
So now, less serious questions and more fun ones. Because nobody likes a boring interview.
I guess
If you
that's
could
true.
have any spell from any edition of D&D in real life, what spell would it be?
Pocket dimension.
Why
I feel like,
pocket dimension?
yeah, because I believe that they are outside. Or no, there's another one that a specific dragon can cast in like second edition, where they can like solidify and expand their pocket dimension. But I think it'd be cool just to open a little place just for you that's outside of time and kind of experience some time to yourself that I
Now,
think it's very difficult to achieve.
with different pocket dimensions, you get to choose how that world works. How would your world be different in a pocket dimension than from the real world?
Well, I couldn't say without the spell, because I think the first thing that I'd try to do is test all the boundaries that the spell has, see kind of what rules that conduct it, and maybe if the rules are entirely defined by what I think I'm capable of, it'd be very fun to just go haywire, creating little tiny worlds.
I, I agree with that. I think that'd be very fun. Deciding on the gravity and the time and all.
Oh yeah,
Just messing with all of it. It'd be a ton of fun.
Dude, you just sleep in zero grav every single night.
Well, I mean,
exactly.
if you
Instead of
wanted
paying
to,
like
you
$10,000 for those, what are those things called? The sensory deprivation tanks.
oh man,
Oh,
Just
no,
make
that'd be,
one.
that'd be
Yes.
so nice. I was gonna say, I think with the ability to adjust time, you could probably sleep without ever actually needing to sleep. You could just pop in there, take a huge nap, pop back in, no time loss.
yeah, only like
But
it's been 10 seconds.
then technically your life would be shortened. It would be cut in half.
Oh, that's true. That is,
Yeah.
and then now we're getting into the
Interesting
complications
rules.
they never bring
Yeah.
up.
Unless you can make it so that in the dimension you never age.
Oh, that. But then when you come out, see again, it's gonna be a nightmare. This is
Yeah,
why magic can't
that's
exist.
I'd start with testing.
So, speaking of along a similar line there with the introduction of magic into our world, we introduced radio to Eberron. What is something from our world that you like to introduce into games or would introduce into a fantasy setting?
That's an interesting question. Because obviously the first thing that would come to mind is something like cell phones, but that would really destroy a lot of narrative capability that you have in a story.
What is it called? Lost in a fantasy world with my cell phone, the isekai?
Oh yeah. Oh, ReZero, I think.
No, there is an actual
It's just called
there's an
exactly
isekai
that.
called Caught in a Fantasy World with my cell phone.
They do that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I'm a nerd.
That's I don't really know. That is a very difficult question to answer because there's so many different types of innovations here and there's so many things that back them, like all the way back to the discovery that we could manipulate electricity. Everything's come from that, but like if you don't have that foundation and you just start introducing like cell phones, then how do people charge them?
Well, I think that if I was designing a cell phone, it would be a charge per day.
Yeah, okay, I see what you
It's
mean.
one of those. I think that we ran into a lot of those problems when it came to the radio, and that's why we're left with that 30-minute block that we can do nothing more. We locked
Yeah.
ourselves into a lot of ridiculous things right at the beginning just to make it so that way we could answer all those questions.
I think Breath of the Wild did a pretty good job with just kind of like a universal database in your pocket.
Oh, that's
And
true.
something that you can use to immediately capture images or videos would be a really cool thing to play around with. It'd be great for like espionage games and stuff.
I think that would be a really, really fun thing to do, especially with, again, the espionage type, getting the inappropriate photos and, haha,
Yeah.
look at that, we can blackmail you now and get into what we need to do. I think, man, that would be a lot of fun. I think they have something similar in 3.5 Eberron, I want to say. I don't know about 5th edition. I'm terrible when it comes to 5th edition.
I don't think they have anything that can capture images.
with the new Exploring Eberron they do.
Oh, in the new Exploring Eberron, I have not read it
Yeah.
through the items
Because it's
section.
it's in the item section.
I was gonna say I haven't made it that far down on the list yet.
Oh,
It's my
picture
job to know
boxes.
these things. Sorry, I'm trying to look through to see if we had any other fun questions because we're horrible.
That's all right. It's very hard to prepare for a podcast.
It is not. It's just super easy.
We fly by the seat of our pants like 8 times.
It depends on the complexity that you want to introduce to the platform. So like you can do anything with a podcast, and you guys have a very unique idea where you kind of role play characters hosting a podcast in a completely different world. So I think that probably took some forethought.
Yeah, there's a lot of forethought.
We are as niche as you can possibly get.
Yeah, I think
when we started, we were like, yeah, we're gonna get like 10 views, and it's gonna be great. And then with our first episode, when it hit, I think the first day we were over 100 and some odd.
Oh, that's really cool.
We were both freaking out. We're like, oh God, why are people listening to us? Please stop.
Yeah, that's something that everyone who gets an audience starts to feel kind of cornered.
Yeah, imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome. Yeah. And that is always rough.
If you could get rid of any 5th edition player class, which one would it be? It no longer exists.
I would say Barbarian. I feel like mechanically they're not very fun to dungeon master in fights, and I think fighters can pretty much fill up the exact role and purpose that barbarians have, because barbarians are just angry fighters. That's their whole gimmick.
Yeah.
Disagreeing with a lot of people there.
Shots fired. There's a barbarian community coming for you now.
I know, and they're actually going to kill me.
Yeah, they've triggered their rage.
So now that you've created another Eberron character with ashes, or redid an Eberron character with ashes, I know that you're not very big into Eberron. Is that a setting that you're going to take more time to consider or look into further?
It's interesting because I actually got a couple parts of it doing my research mixed up with Ravnica, because they're surprisingly similar.
They are.
I noticed you in one of your emails you were talking about Simic, and I was like, isn't that Ravnica?
No, I went backwards on that.
I didn't want to mention anything because I was like, I mean, he literally reads every single book and has to like compartmentalize all of these things, so it's not something to worth being like, that's actually Ravnica.
It's very easy to get lost. I don't really revisit a lot of releases as much as I think I would enjoy, because obviously with the pacing of my channel and with expanding writing books, we're already kind of on the floor ground of writing the next book with Eldermancy after Stibbles. I don't really have time to kind of do too many, I guess, sessions or groups. So
that makes sense. Whenever you start creating, you don't actually get to enjoy the stuff anymore.
Yeah, I don't play D&D anymore.
That's very true. It's an interesting kind of a double-edged sword where you get so passionate about something that has been created that you start creating, and then you can't really revisit the original thought, I guess.
So, would you mind telling everybody where they can find all of your stuff and your new supplement and all of that good stuff?
Yeah. So my channel, the source of a lot of narrative information, if people would be interested in that, is Rune Smith, just on YouTube. I'm sure if you Google it, it'll be somewhere. And then the book and all the future books and kind of products that we'll be releasing and expanding on, hopefully in the coming future, would be at eldermancy.com.
Go pick it up now. Honestly, if you're listening to this interview, odds are you know who he is. Not who we they have already figured that part out.
But But no, I highly recommend everybody to go check out your YouTube channel and to pick up your supplement. And
We're going to order one ourselves.
yeah.
Yeah, just to throw a little info out there, the current supplement is called Stibble's Codex of Companions. It's just a book with 112 unique monsters that are all pretty low challenge rating, but it has a bunch of mechanics where you can kind of tame and train creatures that you find out in the wild. So it's a little explorer's guide, I guess.
And well, not only that, but it has just absolutely beautiful artwork.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, I get blown away by every piece that I get to see.
Was there anything else that we had? All right, we should probably always have like a little like note on the page. Tap that when we have nothing left. That way we know to not ask that question because it sounds less professional. I want to thank you so much for coming on and speaking with us today, Logan. It has been an absolute pleasure having you, and we absolutely enjoyed the interview on the Echoers as well. This has been just a delight, and we want to thank you.
Thank you
so
very much for thank you for having me and for reaching out.
Of course. And
Thank you.
thank you.